origins and early life are something of a mystery, and whose date of birth, not to mention the year of her death, is unknown. She turns up in Chicago in 1929, recording 5 songs for the Brunswick label, including the classic Rock That Thing. Then she vanishes until 1935, when she forms a relationship with ragtime piano player Black Bob, who provides increasingly suggestive lyrics to Lil Johnson's songs. They record 40 songs for the Vocalion label between 1936 and 1937. Then Lil Johnson vanishes again, literally off the face of the earth, and we have no idea what happened to her after her recording career ends in 1937. Lil Johnson had a vigorous, abrasive voice, and her music has a refreshing, unashamed sexuality that leaves little to the imagination. Songs like Hot Nuts, Sam the Peanut Man, If It Don't Fit, Don't Force It, use a creative diversity of metaphors that is highly influenced by both rural ditties and, insinuating exchanges of vaudeville songs. Lil Johnson's music is, stimulated by these risque exchanges, becoming a blatantly sexual type of musical erotica, with food equals sex metaphors combined with instrumental improvisations that are nothing less than a sheer delight to the ears. One of the few blues women who would make the successful transition from the rural guitar-dominated blues of the late 1920s to the urban nightclub styles of the 1930s and 1940s was Memphis Minnie. This remarkable woman was born Lizzie Douglas in Louisiana circa 1897, the eldest of 13 children. The family traveled through the Mississippi Delta before settling in Memphis around 1910. Minnie picks up her first guitar at the age of 8, and little Lizzie learns her craft in the music of the streets and saloons in Memphis in the years after World War I. She lives and plays Mississippi Delta blues during the early 1920s, performing on the streets of Memphis, playing guitar first in traveling shows, then in frequent Beale Street clubs and juke joints down in the Delta regions. Minnie usually performed with a male partner on second guitar. By 1929, Minnie begins recording with her equally gifted husband, Kansas Joe McCoy. This husband and wife performing duo, the McCoys, would record many songs in various studios and settings and enjoyed commercial success during the worst years of the Depression. They would often pose mournfully in their promotional photos. Minnie would handle most of the vocals and also provide solid, very solid guitar work. The McCoys' first records, I'm talking about you, Fishing Blues and Bumblebee Blues, not only sell well during a time when record sales are in a slump, they also have an impact on other blues performers. During the 1930s, Minnie works with rhythm sections on records that are designed for dancing in taverns while being played on jukeboxes, which are all over the place after Prohibition is repealed. The McCoys then decide to move to Chicago, basically the center of the blues recording industry during the 1930s. Both are fine guitarists and singers, but Minnie is the star of the team and at the peak of her popularity, sometimes recording solo with pianos and small combos. This, of course, puts a strain in their marriage, and by 1939, Kansas Joe McCoy is gone. And Ernest Lawlars, I believe his name was, Lawlars, is Minnie's new guitarist as well as her new love interest. The new team then adds more bass and drums and remain together for the rest of their lives. By the mid-1950s, Minnie and Ernest decide to leave Chicago, as I mentioned, the main base of blues operations, and move back to Memphis, Tennessee, when sadly both suffer a series of strokes. Ernest Lawlers dies in 1961, And then Memphis Minnie disappears, vanishes into oblivion. She is rediscovered by blues scholars and researchers living in a nursing home, barely able to speak and unable to play her guitar. Minnie would die in 1973, leaving behind an enormous body of work and quite a musical legacy. Another of these great blues women from this period, who started in the late 1920s and would flourish into the 1930s and beyond, was Victoria Spivey.